Hey there, Shrine Runners, and welcome to the Fox Shrine. I am your host, Araxis, and tonight we're going to be playing some more of the Great Ace Attorney. Sorry for the very slight delay. I happened to see that Faf was playing Lobotomy Corporation, and I just had to sort of drop in and say, I give a quick hi and bye. If I wasn't streaming, I would have gone to watch. So I'm looking forward to watching the VOD for that, though. Hey there, Senpai, welcome. Thanks for the head pats. You're probably gonna end up going off because I think you said you weren't a fan of Ace Attorney, which is absolutely fair enough. Thank you for the head pats. Hey there, Apple Jam, welcome. Thank you very much for stopping by. Anyway, I just went to go get myself a little bit of a rum and coke, so we'll be got a bit of a drink for while we're doing some funny readings for all the different Ace Attorney characters. No, absolutely fine, Senpai. Like, you don't have to like everything. Like, there's a whole meme about that with the spider lady. And yeah. All right. So let's get into the game then, shall we? Let's switch on over and start up the next chapter of Ace Attorney. As always, do let me know if there are any issues. I'll try and fix them up, but so far we haven't had any. You haven't had any. Hold on. We can just go. We just go continue, right? Yeah, let's go continue. Hello, Genie. The adventure, the unbreakable speckled band.
In a corner of that small, dark room, Sholmes and I waited with bated breath. In time, there came from the ventilator a hiss and a soft, almost growl-like sound. Suddenly, Sholmes sprang into action, lashing furiously with his cane at a point in the darkness. "You see it, Wilson?" he yelled, his tense voice reverberating through the air. I raised my dark lantern's shutter, and the room slowly came into view. Sholmes was staring intently at one particular corner when he started whispering to me. The victim's most perplexing final words. The speckled band. I believe this is the terrible coil to which she referred, Wilson. In front of us was an enormous adder, its fangs bared as it threatened to strike. It truly was the most terrible speckled band I had ever seen.
Snacks. I do like snacks. Hey. 9th of January, 6:37 a.m. on board the steamship Booyah. Booyah! Hello, Genie.
So then, let us unravel this mystery and discover what events led to this curious murder. Pray, do excuse me. The cabin door was bolted from the inside when the man was killed. No marks to suggest the bolt was tampered with in any way.
Closed room mystery.
So, this would appear to be a locked room mystery. In his final moments, the victim scrawled a message on the floor. Almost certainly with the ink from this upset bottle. A Russian word. So the victim was a Russian man then. And the letters are well formed, suggesting he was compos mentis at the time. This is a most extraordinary script. And evidently not penned by the same hand as this message. In fact, I deduce it was written by someone of a different nationality.
Science!
This paper seal was placed just prior to the incident by the victim himself, I would venture. Well, what have we here?
A second body.
Who are you, and what do you think you're doing here?
No one must touch before maritime police come. We must wait! Shh. That won't be necessary. You see, in less than 5 seconds from now, I will reveal the killer to you.
What? Tommy, be absurd. This is murder. An in-cabin locked from inside.
Ah yes, the locked room. But that mystery is paper thin.
You don't mean the culprit is in there?
Who are you, and where have you come from? I'm a great British consultant detective, the only one in the world. Herlock Sholmes. I presume you must have heard of me.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Kurabachi. Welcome. Just had a delightful cutscene. And... Genie? Did you not like the cutscene? Do you perhaps want to go out? I'll go see if the cat wants to go out. Give me a second. Sorry. Sorry. Alright, sorry about that. Let's get back to the game. So are we still on that ship heading to England, I presume? My head is throbbing. What's going on? Something's not right here. There's trouble in the air. Wait, I can't move. Oh shit. What the? I've been shanghaied. Help! Help! Why am I in handcuffs? This seems like a horrible repeat of what happened a few days ago. So, you wake up now, Oh. We had to drag you out of the wardrobe. I do not believe how you could not wake up. You are a true cold-blooded man. You. You found me then. Da! We found you. And now you pay, criminal. How long are you hiding in that tiny wardrobe, Sorry. Now, you have been found. It is time to admit your crimes. Unless you want to find out how cold the ocean is, No, I'll tell you everything. There's only one thing I'd like to know from you. Huh? Isn't that... Oh, it's her again. Okay. Why did you do it? Why did you take his life? Miss Susato! Wait. What did you just say? I'm getting a horrible sense of deja vu right now. Take his life? Where is he? Where's Kazuma? He's dead. Ah! You pretend you do not know? You are a wolf in the sheep's pelt. You are the killer. Do not try to make excuses. What? Kazuma-sama was... Kazuma-sama's body was discovered not long ago. Aha! The horrible thing that happens to all Phoenix Wright, sort of great Ace Attorney, well, not Ace Attorney accomplices, I guess? Assistants in the first cases, I guess? Who aren't sort of recurring characters? Here, in this very cabin, that was bolted shut from the inside. His body? Please, do not try to tell us you were doing this terrible thing in your sleep. Kazuma's dead? But he can't be. And these handcuffs. Surely you don't think that I have to know. Why did you take Kazuma-sama's life? Answer me, please. No. No! My best friend. And I'm on the hook for his murder. Have anything in the court record? Got a paper seal. Kazuma would stick this over the doors of the wardrobe for me. It says, "Keep out" in Japanese, though I'm not sure the Russian crew could actually read it. Okay. Be able to... This is the paper seal I wrote for the wardrobe. I remember really working hard to make it. I'll never forget how Kazuma reacted. Do you expect the Russian crew to be able to read that? He said. Still, I was sure people would get the idea, even if they couldn't read it. So we used it anyway. And it worked. I don't know if the crew thought it was creepy or what, but no one opened the doors. Adhesive. You could see the remnants of the glue we used to stick it over the wardrobe doors. Although it wasn't proper glue, of course. Didn't have any of that with us. So, I pulverized some rice into a paste to use instead. But to a stowaway like me, every single grain of rice represents precious rations. That's why I spread it as thinly as I possibly could. I couldn't bear to waste any. Yeah, so as I thought, he's decided to sort of stow away to go to Great Britain with his friend, it seems. Symbol of Yume University. Every student wears this pin with pride. Funny, but most of them seem to be either round or rectangular. I like the spiked design, even though it doesn't really make any sense. Though it does cause problems. Lots of students end up cutting their fingers on their badges. Perhaps it was the idea of one of the founders. Sharp pin for a sharp mind or something? I possibly already read these, but we were sort of reading them with Kazuma at the time, weren't we? Yep, my personal student number engraved on the back. Lose your pin, they won't accept you. You may not come in. Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, okay. Okay, yep. Certified lawyer and my best friend. He was on his way to London for a study tour when he was taken from this world. And Susato Mikotoba, judicial assistant who was traveling with Kazuma to London for a study tour. Epitome of a refined Japanese lady. Kind of looks a little bit like Pearl over here. Okay. Kazuma. It was just 2 short weeks ago. Are you sure about this? Won't we get in trouble? Don't you find it fun being a stowaway? Besides, how else would you come to England with me to study? It was really something else when they brought your luggage in here earlier, though. The way that Russian crewman just tossed your traveling case onto the floor. I thought I was going to die. Funny thing, Russia and I don't know the specific year this is set, but Russia and Japan definitely had conflict going on at the start of the 20th century. So yes, I still can't quite believe that. I really didn't think you'd be able to fit inside my trunk. You must be even less of a man than you look. Hey! Honestly, I thought I'd broken every bone in my body. Well, it's about 50 days until we dock in Great Britain. But if you confine yourself to my cabin here, I don't expect anyone will discover you. I hope not. I get the feeling those Russians wouldn't be very forgiving of a stowaway. They're a sturdy bunch, that's for sure. What I want to know is, why do we need to keep it a secret from the young lady? From our faithful judicial assistant Mikotoba, you mean? We don't want to implicate her. From your close friend, more to the point. Surely we could confide in her, couldn't we? I don't believe she'd give me away. No. But if she knew what we'd done, that would make her guilty by association. It's best that only you and I know about this. I suppose so. Anyway, it's about the time that the steward is supposed to come and clean the cabin. I know it's cramped, but you'd better get in there, I think. It won't be for long. And anyway, compared to hiding inside my traveling case, it'll be a breeze. Yes, but what if the steward decides to open the wardrobe for some reason? Then I'll be in for it. Stop worrying. I tell you what, why don't you write "keep out" or something on the piece of paper? What? Then I can stick it over the wardrobe doors once you're inside. I don't know. We've only been at sea for about 15 days. How can this have happened? We're supposed to be going on this adventure to England. Together! We leave you at next port. Stay quiet until then. Don't make more trouble for yourself. Murderer. No, I'm not a murderer! Duh! You said before. You said you admit everything about your crimes. No! That's not right! I mean, yes, I did stow away on this ship, but murdering my best friend? No one else could have done it. Admit the truth. Susato-san. Please, tell me what happened. I need to know. Very well. But there is something I would like to ask of you, too. Those eyes. She looks like she's ready to destroy me. This nightmare is getting worse by the minute. I suppose all I can do is try to find out what really happened. Let's ask about Kazuma's death. He really has been killed, hasn't he? This isn't just a bad dream? And these handcuffs, they think I did it? They think I'm Kazuma's killer? When they found him, the cabin was locked from the inside. What do you mean? There's no access to the cabin via a porthole window, and the bolt on the door can't be operated from outside. In other words, after the crime, the culprit couldn't have escaped these four walls. What? Or, to put it another way, the culprit can only have been somebody inside this cabin. I wonder if we're going to get into Nox's 10 laws during this mystery. Because a lot of Japanese media is fond of using them, and honestly, they're quite entertaining. Umineko, Fate Grand Order, even for one of their mystery events. Nox's laws are quite cool, sort of like see when applied to a fair mystery? Or do you have some other explanation? This is impossible. How did he die then? What happened exactly? Are you still going to deny the charge? Even despite the circumstances? Please, Susato-san! You have to tell me! The cause of death is still undetermined. They don't know how he died? The ship's doctor is examining the body, but of course he has no post-mortem analysis experience. I don't suppose we shall learn more until an expert has been consulted at our next port of call. So, presumably that means there were no obvious external signs of injury then? That's true, yes. So what makes you certain that it was murder? Is that sort of junk over there from a struggle, perhaps? Or could this just have been like rough seas, or when they sort of broke the door open in order to get in here? Can't anyone tell me what actually happened here in this cabin? I don't understand it! Why would anyone want to kill Kazuma? Presumably, that's something you know the answer to better than anyone. Please. Whatever you say, you were here in the cabin, after all. Well, yes, I was, but... He would always wake before dawn and do his training first thing in the morning. I was waiting outside his cabin, as I have every day so far on this voyage. Hold on, I think the cat wants to come back in. Give me a second. Okay. Yeah, Kat was, she was just taking her time coming back in. What are you meowing about now, Genie? Oh, she probably wants to sit on me. But this morning, he did not come. I could sense that he wouldn't. Does that mean he was already dead when Susato-san arrived at his cabin door, I wonder? I knocked, but there was no reply. Then I started to become worried, so I went to find a member of the crew. The crewman forced the cabin door open, and when we managed to get inside, there was Kazuma-sama, collapsed on the floor. Alright. So here's Kazuma writing in Russian on his death message. And Herlock, rather, claimed in the cutscene that it was likely written by a native. Alright. So therefore, it probably wasn't myself, and it probably wasn't Kazuma. I don't know if Kazuma happens to know Russian, but yeah. And the white tape there now shows exactly where he was found, I suppose. I had no idea anything had happened. I must have been asleep in the wardrobe somehow. I wish it wasn't the case, but that's just very hard to believe. This is all very hard to believe for me too. Trust me! Now I've told you everything that I know. So it's my turn to ask you a question. Yes, alright. My head feels so heavy. Still throbbing like anything. Was I hit on the back of the head? Was I hit on the back of the head, and am I suffering short-term memory loss? Because this wouldn't be the first time an Ace Attorney game has played this card. Alright, stow away. Why are you even on board this ship, Naruhodo-san? You said something before about being a stowaway, didn't you? Oh, yes, I'm afraid that's true. First case of the second game was based on that entirely. Exactly, Sarah. Also, hey, how are you going? Which was admittedly an interesting way to do a tutorial, I will confess. But this is the second case of the spin-off game. So I wonder what they're doing here. It's 2 weeks since we left Japan now, and I've been shut up in this cabin the entire time. I had no idea. But how could you have occupied Kazuma-sama's cabin for so long without him noticing? No, that would have been impossible, obviously. Yes, of course. Kazuma invited me. Wanted us to go to England together. He actually asked you? Sorry to hear about the headache. Hopefully that that fixes itself up soon. Whenever I've got a headache, generally hydration helps, and just a little bit of painkillers as well, I guess. I'll take some paracetamol. That's what I usually do. Headaches are caused by so many different things. Like, issues with your back can cause headaches. But why? I'm afraid I don't really know the reason myself. I don't understand. Kazuma, why do you want this? What's the real reason? Why go to such extreme lengths to smuggle me to England with you? It really is wild. The human body is complicated as hell. So mad props to all the doctors out there who and biologists who work to understand this sort of thing. It's an idea that's been on my mind ever since the end of that incredible trial. I think I told you then, didn't I, that you ought to become a lawyer yourself. Well, yes, you did say that, but I didn't think you were serious. You have a talent for it. I can assure you of that. But I've never really thought about becoming a lawyer. Well, that's something you can decide for yourself. London is at the spearhead of cultural development, the centre of the world in many ways. But there can't be any harm in seeing such an important place with your own eyes, can there? Well, no, definitely not. But on a personal level, if you were to become a lawyer, then what? nothing. Forget it. Huh? I think you should tell me. I guess you can't now. Kazuma-sama is... He was always saying the same thing. That he wanted to change the Japanese legal system. Perhaps he thought that he could do that with you. Yeah, maybe. But something's still bothering me a little. The look in his eyes then, it was darker than I've ever seen it before. Susato-san, I'm sorry that we kept it a secret from you. My stowing away on this ship, I mean. If I know Kazuma-sama, I expect he was trying to protect me, to avoid me becoming guilty by association. That's exactly right, yes. Word perfect, in fact. Alright, so let's talk about last night, shall we? Ryunosuke, why don't you take a seat over there? If you're not the culprit, then tell me, what happened last night here in this cabin? Well, the thing is, I don't really remember. Way to make your case. Kazuma brought me something to eat, just like he always did. And then I got myself into that wardrobe over there, just like I always did. After that, I fell asleep. Well, yes. So deeply that you didn't even stir when Kazuma-sama was killed? Well, apparently, yes. I know it sounds unbelievable. Really, I do. I don't believe me, but it's the truth. If only I'd woken up, then perhaps I wouldn't be in this predicament. And for some reason, my head's still throbbing like anything. Really? Is something wrong? Oh, no, it's... Please, forget it. Susato-san, you have to believe me, I didn't do it! I really don't want to doubt you. But the trouble is, there is no one else who could possibly have done this. Kazuma, I don't understand. Why? Why did this have to happen? I can't take this. Don't try to go anywhere. You're the perpetrator of this crime. You can't leave. I can't allow that to happen. I'm sorry, but Kazuma was killed right under my nose here, and I didn't do anything to stop it. Now I'm supposed to just sit around? My hands tied? Oh, whoever did this walks free? No, I can't allow that to happen. Well, what do you propose to do then? I'm going to investigate. I'm going to find out exactly what happened here. I'm going to work out who took Kazuma's life and how and why they did it. So I'm sorry, but you're going to have to excuse me. Yeah! I just got mispiggied. What the? That was a Susato takedown. Susato takedown. Susato. Susato what? What martial art form is that? I'm going to need you to prove it. Sorry? Prove it? Yes, your innocence. I need evidence. But how am I supposed to... Have you forgotten already what you achieved just a few weeks ago? You successfully defended yourself in a court of law. Ah, I see. Naruhodo. She's expecting me to present some conclusive evidence. I have to get Suzaru-san to believe me. I'll show her some evidence right now that proves I'm not guilty of this awful crime. Right here, my collar pin. Alright then, how about this? You can't trick me with something irrelevant like that. Oh, that always works though. No, it doesn't. I'd better try to come up with something more convincing. As I get the feeling she'll throw me on the floor all over again. The way you're looking at me, I think perhaps I didn't throw you hard enough. No, it was definitely hard enough. Let me show you something else. Okay. Well, obviously, if this was on the door, I wouldn't have been able to put it back on by getting back in the wardrobe. So, in essence, it's a closed room within a closed room?
Yes!
Tell me, when I was discovered in the wardrobe before, was this piece of paper stuck over the doors? Oh, yes, it was. I remember clearly. I thought so. Kazuma always put it in place whenever I went to sleep in there, just in case the cabin steward or another crew member had decided to look inside. So, naturally, he did the same last night as well. Ah! Yes, of course. The gentleman who discovered you peeled that sign from the wardrobe doors before he opened them. But if I were truly the culprit, I couldn't have climbed back inside the wardrobe and stuck this on the outside of the doors on my own. Yes, that's quite true. In other words, it's impossible that I killed Kazuma. Well, even if you are sprawled hopelessly on the floor, I can see why Kazuma-sama thought so highly of you. Thank you, Suzato-san. Now, do you think perhaps you could help me up? Thank you. Well, in the light of that evidence, I don't see any reason why I should stop you from investigating in here, at least. Thank you. So you finally believe me? I'm sorry. No. What? I'm not sure yet. I can't rule out the possibility that you used some sort of conjuring trick to put the sign back in position. What does she think I am, a magician? Wouldn't be the first time a magician was a murderer or a suspect in Ace Attorney games. For now, I suggest you investigate as thoroughly as possible in here. I'll do the same. Alright, let's get to work, Suzato-san. Please don't misunderstand me. I still have my doubts. Oh. I shall be watching you to make sure you do nothing that might disturb the crime scene. I wouldn't want you using your conjuring tricks to destroy evidence, for example. Right. Well, anyway, I should make a start on investigating in here. Examine everything I can. Kazuma, I swear, I will avenge your death. Okay. So obviously, we need to leave the room immediately. I'm in handcuffs and under house arrest by the crew, not to mention Suzato-san's constant glares. I think it's fair to say I'm stuck in this cabin. For the time being, at least. I should focus on investigating in here to see what I can find out. Fair enough. Alright, let's start by presenting evidence to her. Sato-san, about this? I'm sorry, Naruhodo-san. But we don't have time to waste on anything else. We must find clues. She looks serious. Really, quite deadly serious. Oh. Okay, cool. I can hold down B to sort of fast forward these things now that I sort of adjusted that setting. Okay, cool. Let's have a talk with her first. Nothing else to discuss. Time to examine the room. Oh, hey, it's the sailor. Okay, so it's we can have a look at these parts of the room apparently. Now this seems pretty important, so I'm going to save that for last. There's nothing on this table at all. The plate and cutlery are all over the floor for some reason. Yes, strange. Last night when I went to sleep, I'm sure everything was still. No. Wait a minute. What is it? That's funny. I can't seem to remember anything about what happened after dinner at all. So then, perhaps, you are responsible for what happened to Kazama-sama. No, no, no! Oh dear, that won't do. Oh, what's the matter, Susato-san? Whenever I'm examining things, I always find myself so focused I forget to look around properly. Yes, that's not good. I don't suppose you're as foolish as me in that regard, are you, Naruhodo-san? I know how to look around. D-pad. I'm sure you're careful to look all around using the D-pad, aren't you? Now, let's investigate all corners of this cabin. Yes, let's do that. Suppose my field of vision has been rather small until now. I knew about this. Okay, cool. And this gets ticked off when I've examined it, so I know that there's nothing else to explore there. Seigi. The Japanese word for justice. The brushstrokes are straight and true, just like Kazama. Yes, his calligraphy always was a reflection of his heart. Yet can you really look at those characters without feeling shame, knowing who drew them so thoughtfully? Of course I can! I mean, I'm innocent, so why shouldn't I be able to? Even though you stowed away on this ship? Now you're gonna bring that up, are you? I can't win. Who cares? Stop judging me. Investigated thoroughly, but I can't find anything out of place. Alright, so that's if we try to sort of explore that sort of stuff. Let's examine the sword. That's Kazama-sama's precious sword. He never went anywhere without it. Yes. He was always saying that a Japanese man's katana is his soul. I believe he had to work very hard to convince the government to allow him to bring it on this trip. Suppose that shows just how important it was to him. Now he's gone. But I'm not ready to let his spirit go just yet. Also note that a man who carries a sword around was killed. So that implies to me, at least, that perhaps he was killed by someone that he knows, or someone that he would have let his guard down around, or was otherwise unable to defend himself appropriately. So either taken by surprise or perhaps weakened. What have we got here? That's my dinner from last night. A roast chicken. It was really tasty. Yes, it was very delicious, wasn't it? But did you eat it on the floor here? I'm not a dog, Susato-san. I ate at the table, of course. Which begs the question of when and how the plate ended up on the floor. But Kazuma-sama didn't like chicken at all, did he? No, that's right. So he didn't touch it. Hold on. So they said no, that's right here. That's actually a Japanese sort of thing here. Like it's a little bit tricky to explain, but like English and Japanese languages, you sort of respond differently to that sort of question. Like in English, you would say, yes, that's right, because you're agreeing with the statement even though it's a negative. Whereas in Japanese, you would say no because you're saying that he didn't like chicken. So it's so this is something that sort of comes up in translation all the time, where you'll have to sort of flip around when characters say yes or no, because of what I just said. And sometimes that ends up slipping through in these things. It's possible it was deliberate here because the characters here are Japanese and they're making a conscious decision, and so far it's been an expert localization in terms of how snappy the dialogue's been. So it's quite possible. Like if you told me that they did this deliberately, I would say yes. But it could also be that the translators have become used to Japanese and let that one sort of slip through. Because that is something that happens. Anyway, he didn't touch it. Which meant all the more to me. Oh no. Does that mean poor Kazuma-sama spent his last night on this earth with an empty belly? It's just too horrible. Now I suddenly have a guilty conscience and an achy stomach. So he didn't eat last night. Huh, okay. Alright, so the knife with the chicken isn't relevant apparently. That's an odd looking piece of chicken, I have to say though. That looks big. Okay. When I went for help and the crewman forced the door open, this bolt had been firmly closed. It's quite a small bolt and not particularly sturdy. Are we looking at the same bolt here? That looks huge. And it just slides across to secure the door shut. But still, with the door bolted, there would be no way to get in or out of the cabin, that's for sure. It's no wonder everyone suspects me. And she glares at me like that. I feel tense all up and down my spine. I remember reading once in a detective novel, the culprit used a needle and thread to draw a bolt across from outside the room in a situation like this. Yes, that's a clever trick, isn't it? I'm an avid reader of detective stories myself. But the door of this cabin and its frame are made of metal, and they seal together perfectly. There would be no possibility of using that needle and thread trick here, I'm afraid. She glares at me like that. I feel pins and needles all up and down my spine. Tough lady. Are we able to talk with the Russian sailor? Perhaps I should see what this Russian crewman makes of the scene of the crime. Excuse me? What? I was wondering how it's going. The investigation, I mean. Grandmother told me Japanese people do not make jokes. But it is not true, I see. Sorry? The criminal is asking investigator for information about his crime. Very funny. Oh, it wasn't supposed to be a joke. He doesn't appear to be laughing either. He's convinced you're guilty. He might have useful information though. Have to keep trying. So, last night, did you notice anything out of the ordinary at all? Yet, of course not. Now, back to corner of room and make silent. I say no more to you. I wonder why the sailor's wearing a school uniform. Did I hit a nerve? Just for a minute there, he seemed a little flustered. Okay. These are the rules of passage to travel aboard the SS Burya. It's essentially a list of requests from the captain to all passengers on board. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabin. Pets are also strictly forbidden. Well, he's got that sword over there. We've got that knife for the chicken. I'm apparently a pet. What? Why are you staring at me? Oh, sorry. I was just thinking. Are you more of a dangerous object or a pet? I can't decide. Technically, I could be both if I were the murderer, which I'm not. But one thing's for sure, either way, I wasn't supposed to be in here. I did get to bring his sword along, so clearly there were exceptions. The books have fallen over on the shelf, look. They've all toppled the same way. And what's this? A statue of some god of the sea? Although he's fallen over as well. Yes. Almost as if the whole shelf has been ransacked, and everything mown down at once. I wonder if... perhaps it was Kazuma-sama doing his morning sword training, do you think? I seriously doubt that. Then perhaps it was you, Naruhodo-san, in a fit of rage. I wouldn't have bothered leaving the wardrobe just to mess up a few books and a statue. But the way these things have been thrown about have anything to do with the case, I wonder? Well, I'll just set everything straight again. I don't like to see a mess. There's a missing book. There's a missing book here. We can see with that yellow book in the middle there, that's fallen flat rather than on top of any others. Meaning if there's a book that was supposed to be next to it, that should be there. At least that's what I think. Can I examine this again? These books are provided for the entertainment of whoever is occupying the cabin, I suppose. And they must be well looked after. You mustn't damage any of the ship's property. It wasn't me who knocked them over. Well, anyway, I feel much better now that they're neatly lined up. Can't relax when things are in a mess. I might have to double check all of these now. That was new dialogue. Nothing on this table at all. Okay, so that was obviously... Okay. God damn it. Now I have to check everything, and most of it doesn't seem like it's new. Alright, let's proceed. Japanese word for justice. Okay. Yep, that's all that. Rules of passage. Yep. Alright. Will you say anything else? Perhaps I should see what he makes of the scene. Yeah, okay. Let's just have a drink. Okay. It was just that one, I guess because there was visual change, but it still had a tick there, so that bothers me. Now I can't trust the game anymore. Okay. That's a very large traveling case, isn't it? Yes, it carries a lot of memories for me. Memories? What do you mean? Well, that's actually how I stowed away on this vessel. I was brought on board inside that case. Ah, yes. I see it says "this way up" in Japanese, which, in hindsight, I should have realized the foreign crewman wouldn't be able to read. I was turned over and over and over. Then I was tossed on the floor in here. Oh dear. Being a stowaway isn't as romantic as it sounds. Well, it's less painful than a Susato takedown. That must have been really painful in that case. This looks like the announcement pipes. The captain needs to announce something. This is where D. Kazuma-sama would have sat whenever he was writing. London Diary. Poor Kazuma. Didn't even make it to his destination. It looks as though the last entry is incomplete. Which means... what? He was in the middle of writing it when the incident happened? Let's see what it says. It could be a valuable clue. Hiya! That's out of the question. What? Kazuma-sama may have departed this world, but you must not read his private thoughts. But what if it's something important? Something relevant to the case? Alright. I won't read it while you're around. Poor Kazuma-sama. I don't like prying into people's personal matters either. But in this case, isn't the need for clues more important? Alright. So, again, we're going to leave these for now, and we're going to continue looking around. A vent. I think that's some kind of opening for a ventilator. A hole through which fresh air can circulate into the cabin. Isn't that a little odd? Well, we did establish that the door seals shut, as in completely. So that means it's airtight, so you would need a vent. What do you mean? Well, this ventilator, if that's what it is, looks like it must connect to the next door cabin. Yes. It would appear to. You're right. But if its purpose is to allow fresh air into the room, Surely it should be connected to the outside. That's true. Perhaps it's so that rain and spray don't find their way in when the seas are rough, or something like that. I suppose maybe that's it. Alright, there's something sus about this vent, in my opinion. This is... yes, it's a bell cord contraption, I think. What do you mean contraption? I read about it in a book I was studying that talked about life in Great Britain. Large households often have bell cords like this, which you could pull to ring a bell to summon servants. Really? That sounds almost magical. Shall we give it a little try? Yes! In the interests of cultural research, obviously. I suppose nobody comes for lowly Japanese people. No, I'm sure it's just that everyone is busy. That's all. Can we ring it again? Keep ringing it. Maybe someone will come. Nope. Oh well. I can't examine the bed, huh? Alright. It's some 2 weeks since we set sail from Japan. Have you really been living in that wardrobe the entire time, Naruhodo-san? I think living isn't quite the right description. Oh, no, I suppose not. Although it must have been rather exciting, making this voyage in your own secret hideout. Trouble was, I never knew when a member of the crew might come in. So, yes, I did basically have to live in the wardrobe. Last night was no exception. But because of that, you had no idea what was happening out here in the cabin. No. Sadly not. Okay. Can't examine that. Let's have a look at this. What do you think this is? It looks like a broken piece of glassware. Whatever the thing was, it appears to have broken clean in two. And where's the other piece? The glass is such a beautiful color. Looks like a cute little Netsuke fastener from a kimono outfit. I'm not sure that sounds like Kazuma. He wouldn't have secretly carried a cute little trinket like this around with him. Would he? And the mark beside it. What is it, I wonder? It has a sort of brick-like hue. Yes, you're right. It is the color of brick, isn't it? Even though I don't see anything of the same color anywhere else in the room. Did Kazuma write that before he died? Looks like it's written in ink. He must have knocked the ink pot from the desk when he collapsed on the floor. Then I suppose he wrote this message by dipping his finger in the spillage. Poor Kazuma-sama. No doubt he was in terrible pain. It's almost unbearable to imagine it. I suppose he was trying to leave some kind of a clue in his final moments. Was he? I wonder what that says. Wish Marshall was in chat. Marshall might be able to sort of translate this. I'm sorry, partner. I can't read your writing. I don't think that's Japanese, Naruhodo-san. What? Then what language is it? It pains me to admit it, but I don't know. It's not a foreign script that I'm familiar with. What does it mean, I wonder? Hello there? Who's that? He wasn't there a minute ago. As far as I can tell, it looks like he might be European. Oh, how did he... You've noticed the man too, have you? I've no idea who he is or how he got in here, but he looks suspicious. And tall. Suspiciously tall. Huh? Naruhodo-san, don't tell me. Do you really not know who that is? Well, no. I don't have any foreign friends or acquaintances at all. Doesn't look like a member of the crew. Something very unusual about him. And is he investigating Kazuma's desk, or is he just playing on it? I can't tell. Well, in that case, we simply must talk with him. Tall people aren't suspicious, Meta. They're just tall. Am I just imagining it, or does Susato-san look almost uncontrollably excited? By the way, I expect that you've noticed already, but just in case, if you press A on people when they're in the crosshairs, you can converse with them. Alright then, I'll get that suspiciously tall gentleman in my sights and see what he has to say for himself. Oh, please do. Alright then. Let's just go talk with him. How are you going anyway, Meta? Excuse me? Excuse me! Do you have a moment? Shh! This is a critical point in my investigation. Maybe I should leave him alone. He seems a little unfriendly. Yes, perhaps that would be for the best. Greetings! I hope I haven't kept you too long. Ah! What exactly were you doing on Kazuma's desk just now? Ah, I see. Fascinating. Sorry? Do you see? Feels like he's looking right through me. Yeah, no problem, Meta. Thanks for stopping by. Assuming you do decide to go and play something. Oh yes. Everything is clear now. The train of reasoning has run its course. My deductions have crystallized. You have been in Afghanistan, I perceive. Just recently returned, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry? What? And now, whilst venturing towards foreign climes, you find yourself in a most troubling predicament. Oh, well, that's true at least. But how? How the deuce did I know that, perhaps? It was really a most elementary deduction, hardly worth explaining. Have you perhaps managed to deduce anything else? But of course, a great many things. There is no mystery, my dear madame. For example, you have fled your native land of Russia, being, as you are, a merciless revolutionary. No. You leave 16 victims of assassination in your wake, and now travel to England to blow up the Crystal Tower. And when the beribund occupant of this very cabin discovered your identity, you ended his life too. Yes, I believe that summarizes the facts beautifully. No need to hide the truth now. Nothing deceives these eyes. Just to be clear, you are talking about me, are you? Certainly I am. Do you see another in this cabin who fits the bill? A Russian assassin with 16 victims to his name? I don't even see one person who fits the bill. Also, what part of me is Russian? So, it's true. It was you who did this to Kazuma. What? And you're plotting a revolution too. It's shameful behavior, Naruhodo-san. Absolutely wicked. No, listen! There's no way Yeah! Now, explain yourself. Tell me everything. Alright, the revolution part is true, but I did not kill 16 people. And if I did, they deserved it. This is ridiculous. How could you do it? For pity's sake, open your eyes. I'm not a Russian revolutionary. Obviously. Oh. Forgive me. And as for you, what kind of deduction was that? You were just saying the first thing that came into your head. Yeah. But was I not right? Whilst venturing toward foreign climes, you do find yourself in a most troubling predicament, do you not? Well, yes, maybe, but that's the only thing you got right. Ha! There you have it, you see? What do you make of that? Well, to be honest, this ship is en route to England, and I'm in handcuffs at the scene of a murder. So, I'm not really sure you could call it deduction. It's more plain observation. Indeed! And observation, my dear boy, is the basis of all deduction. My method is founded upon the observation of trifles, you see. I announce my findings with a brassy certitude, and more often than not, I'm right. Which means you're not always right. I don't think you introduced yourself. My apologies, how remiss of me. I am none other than the greatest detective of the century, known to men and women the world over. The inimitable Herlock Sholmes. So, it's really you? The actual Herlock Sholmes? The very same. The inimitable, actual Herlock Sholmes. Do you know this man, Susato-san? The most famous detective in the world? Naruhodo-san, of course I do. There's nobody who hasn't heard of him. What planet have I been living on then? We must ask him what he's deduced. He will have worked out the entire case already, I'm sure. Really? Why do I feel uneasy about this? I don't look around at things anymore. No. Can I just leave? I'm in handcuffs, under house arrest. Yep. Now the detective thinks I'm some sort of revolutionary. Yep, slim at best for the time being anyway. Perhaps I should see what the detective has to say for himself now. What if I present you with this? Mr. Sholmes, what do you make of this? Shh, quiet. And I'm ruminating in the course of my deductions. Nothing must disturb my mind. Oh, so sorry. Ah, an Indian curry, perhaps. What's he ruminating about? The lunch menu? Alright. I've never seen anything like this. Most extraordinary writing. You said the same earlier this morning, I think. Indeed, but its uncommonness is so remarkable, I felt the need to say it anew. Yes, I do believe these characters may be a crude attempt at a Japanese script. What? Mr. Naruhodo? I don't like to be the one to tell you this, but I think Mr. Sholmes is trying to say that your handwriting is a little untidy. Is he making fun of me? Alright. Well, let's have a talk with this detective who seems greatly misguided about things. Let's put the quotation marks around great at the moment. Although, to be honest, I'm not sure if he's a detective either. So, you're a great detective, are you? Sorry, what was your name again? Indeed, I am none other than the one and only Herlock Sholmes. Oh, I see. You're German? Herlock, was it? No. I have no her. I mean, I have hair. Please, call me Sholmes. You can read all about my exploits in this exciting London publication. Oh yes, Rant's magazine, full of wonderful short stories and interest articles from Great Britain. I never miss an issue. I have it sent from England especially. Ah yes, here it is. The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes. So, you're the protagonist in a series of short stories then? Indeed I am. And you've read so many of your own stories, you've started to think you really are a detective? Make no mistake, I'm not the poor deluded fellow you take me for. Your inference is backwards. Backward? My trusty biographer records my greatest detecting achievements and chronicles them in the magazine. You have a biographer, do you? Doesn't everyone? Mine goes by the name of Dr. Wilson, presently keeping shop in London. That's the reference to Watson there that a few people in chat picked up on before. And when I sort of commented that we would be seeing some of Sherlock. Dr. Wilson? I must say, thanks to that publication, I've been fantastically busy of late. Why, this very moment, I am returning from Asia, having solved the mystery of a cursed royal crown. Really? I can't work out whether I should take this man seriously or not. Deduction, you see, is to me a science. Logical reasoning in its purest form. Science. Really? The astute observer notices even the most subtle of reactions in his subject. A furtive glance, a twitch of a muscle, a slight inclination of the posture. Speaking of, I should probably sit up straight a bit. Fingernails, arm sleeves, furrows in the skin. All these things are data. Right. And the trained logician makes deductions from this data in the blink of an eye. The ultimate conclusion is, without fail, the truth. As I demonstrated only a few short moments ago. How can he look me in the eye and claim that? So you see, I have a turn both for observation and for deduction. And fame. That is what makes me the one and only Herlock Sholmes. Let's go get myself a drink and continue talking with this phony, shall we? I'll get some water this time. Give me a second. Alright. So, let's talk about Kazuma's death, shall we? Have you managed to deduce anything about this particular case yet? Have I managed to deduce anything? My dear fellow, who do you suppose discovered the culprit in his most cunning hiding place? That's right. It was none other than the great detective before you now, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. Ah, I see. In other words, I am in these now because of him. When I became anxious about Kazuma-sama this morning, I summoned all of the crew members to force the cabin door open. And I concealed myself among their number, gaining entry to the scene of the crime. Yes, luckily for everyone, the great detective, Herlock Sholmes, was on board. And the handcuffs seemed to be an excellent fit, Mr. Naruhodo. The very moment I laid eyes on the scene, two facts were immediately apparent to me. Oh, really? Two facts, you say? Two facts. Mr. Sholmes, tell us, please, what two facts were apparent to you when you came into this cabin this morning? Ah, yes. But first, let me be precise. The two facts in question were immediately apparent to me. The first is that someone died, and the second is that someone killed them. Yes, I understand, but what were they? Allow me to elucidate. The two facts that I deduced from a mere momentary glance at the scene of the crime were as follows. Number 1, the cabin was locked from within, rendering escape of the culprit out of the question. Number 2, the victim was Russian and killed following a dispute with an acquaintance. Hold on, Mr. Sholmes. What made you think the victim was Russian? Observe the dying message left by the victim on the floor. That is the Russian word for wardrobe. Ah, wardrobe, huh? Do you really think Kazuma-sama could have left a dying message in Russian? In their final moments, many find their native tongue filling their head. For this young man, Russian. Kazuma was Russian, was he? Initially, I considered Garderobe might be the name of the killer, a certain Robert Gard, perhaps. But in the interests of thoroughness, I decided it would be wrong not to look inside the wardrobe there at least. And you found Mr. Naruhodo sleeping soundly. Quite so. I found you, the renowned Russian revolutionary killer. Why is it that I'm Russian too? I observed that you were wearing the same attire as the victim. In other words, you were acquainted. And if my memory serves, that outfit is the traditional dress of the Russian people. Our school uniforms are the traditional dress of the Russian people? I had no idea. And I had no idea a detective could get something so wrong. I took a photograph of the victim and the message that I might analyze it for possible hidden details. This was taken immediately after the young man was discovered, before the body was removed. Yes, Kazuma had already been taken away when I woke up. This is the first time I've actually seen him like this. Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, yes. Thank you. Alright, photograph of the crime scene has been entered into the court record. Russian word for wardrobe in purple ink would appear to have been written in the victim's final moments. I wonder if the message is unclear or has a double meaning of some sort. Can I ask you something, Mr. Sholmes? What, pray? You mentioned Russia before as well, didn't you? You know, when you said I was a fearsome revolutionary fleeing from Russia and all that. Ah, yes. The train of reasoning that led me to the truth. Would you mind explaining that train of reasoning to me, do you think? Certainly, if it interests you. How many times? I'm not Russian and I don't speak Russian. Let's find out about his deduction, shall we? Can we talk about your deduction before the things you concluded about me, I mean? Ah, the now famously accurate, troubling predicament you find yourself in? Actually, it was the other details that I was more hoping to discuss. You know, the merciless Russian revolutionary, assassin of 16 part, The fact that I'd apparently been in Afghanistan. Ah, yes, the more sordid details. It was a fairly commonplace deduction. Here, we have the morning's paper. Main headline reads, Revolutionary villain Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. Alright, this one's pretty obvious. Villain, obviously meaning villain, and Bolshevik is a reference to the Bolsheviks, who would be the revolutionaries at the time that he is speaking of. This vessel made a port call in Shanghai yesterday, and last night the young Russian was murdered. Since when was Kazuma a Russian? It sounds like Mr. Sholmes has concluded he was Russian because of what Kazuma-sama wrote on the floor. And does this not make you doubt what's going on? Like, you know he's Japanese! It was a simple act of reasoning to realize that the culprit of this crime was the same merciless revolutionary. One who would kill the very man who helped him to escape after his true identity was discovered. Yes, you, villain Bolshevik. No, no, no! How could it be me? I don't look anything like this man. Just look at his face. Well, you are a fearsome revolutionary, after all. Therefore, you have no doubt learned to revolutionize your appearance as well. Please. And, I might add, your name does not appear on the ship's passenger list. Need I say more? Well, that's because I'm a stowaway. What about the other details? The 16 victims of assassination and blowing up the Crystal Tower. Hey Ada, welcome. Yeah, this guy's an idiot. Ah yes, the journalist clearly interviewed the man and printed all those particulars in the article. Nick's Gamers, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome to the Fox Shrine. I hope you enjoy your stay. Did that show up? Let's do that again just in case it didn't. There we go. The deeds the man has perpetrated thus far, and those that he is plotting. Yes, everything about this revolutionary Bolshevik was included. There can be no mistake. Do revolutionaries usually agree to interviews with newspaper reporters, I wonder? Surprisingly, yes, sometimes they do. They need to get the word out, and if they can find a newspaper willing to listen, then they certainly might take the risk. And what about the part where you said I was just returning from Afghanistan? Also, quite clearly stated here in the article. Bolshevik is recently returned after a period of subversive activities in a war-torn region of Afghanistan. Where even is it, anyway? This Afghanistan place. Here, take the paper for yourself, as a little memento of this great deduction. Oh, thank you. I've absorbed all that is of interest to me within its pages, but I see no rubbish bin nearby. Alright, we've got the article about the revolutionary now. Article on the front page of a Russian newspaper. Headline reads, Revolutionary villain Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. Okay, and you may find the article on the back page of interest as well. Let's have a look at these now, shall we? So, you've got this dying message, which apparently means cupboard in Russian, I don't read Russian, so there could be some sort of double meaning in here that Herlock here missed. He's using his right hand here. Was it ever established that he was a left-handed person? I forget. Okay. I'm afraid I can't read a word of Russian. No, me neither. I have no idea what any of this says. The pair of you floundering is a sorry sight. Allow me to offer some assistance. The article on the front page of this newspaper is concerned with a fearsome Russian revolutionary. It reads, Revolutionary Vilen Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. Yes, you told us that before. It reveals also that those who see the man's beard with their own eyes never live to tell the tale. Oh my goodness, he is fearsome. Well, presumably the newspaper photographer was alright, wasn't he? The solution is obvious, of course. If he despises his beard to that degree, he need only shave it off. I'm not quite sure that's the problem, Mr. Sholmes. Okay. Let's flip this over and see what else there might be. Could this be about Anastasia? This is interesting. Have you found something relevant, Naruhodo-san? Well, no, I mean it looks like it might be interesting. Could be a ballerina, actually. I can't read a single word, I'm afraid. No, nor can I, but look at this picture. Perhaps it's about a beautiful, young Russian princess, do you think? She is very pretty, isn't she? I suppose you enjoy articles like this, do you? I don't know. I can't make any sense of it. Ah! I'm glad that you've noticed this article. Ah! Allow me to give you a short summary of its contents. Oh, thank you. He pops up everywhere, this Mr. Sholmes. It's about the disappearance of a young lady last night. Renowned prima ballerina of the Novovich Ballet disappears from Shanghai. During a performance in Shanghai, a famous dancer was reported missing. She is, of course, the talented young Nikolina Pavlova. Oh, she's a dessert, huh? I wonder if this is a reference to possibly Pavlov's dogs or possibly Roma Nova. And Nikolina is like Nicholas, who was the Tsar. Why are Russian names so hard to remember? It would appear the woman was in costume when she was found to be missing from her dressing room, wearing the diamond tiara you see pictured, which is worth some 20,000 rubles. Oh, how much is 20,000 rubles? I have no idea, but I'm quite sure it must be an unbelievable sum of money. Zato-san's eyes are shining like diamonds themselves. The tiara is the property of the Novovich Ballet. It seems the director is beside herself with worry. Yes, I'm not surprised. The company is most anxious to recover both Miss Pavlova and the valuable tiara. They've requested international assistance in all ports, with sailings to Great Britain. Could this be another case of a Russian fleeing his or her country? It does seem to be the Russian thing to do. I'm not even going to dignify that with a response, Mr. Naruhodo. Okay. Yep, so the article on the back page is about the ballerina. Okay. So apparently we've got that as evidence now, and that comes up as this, simply. Alright. I'm curious what all of this says. I wonder if they've actually used Russian here, or if it's all sort of fake. On the back, cast your eye over it sometime if the interest takes you, though you may need someone to interpret. Hey Hell, welcome! How are you going? It's all written in Russian. Couldn't hope to read it. But I suppose it wouldn't hurt just to glance at the article. Maybe there might be a picture or two. Okay. In Soviet Russia, picture reads you. Or newspaper reads you. What were you just investigating? Before we started talking, you were investigating Kazuma's desk, weren't you? Kazuma? Ah, yes. The victim. With a clearly Japanese name, by the way. Did you notice anything useful? Anything at all? Did you read his diary? Observe, for a moment, the desktop of the victim. We see that the victim was engaged in penning some text. Clearly in Japanese, mind you. London Diary. Kazuma was keeping notes of the trip. Ah, but I don't think you should read his private writings. It could upset people. Tragic. And something you ought to perhaps elucidate before the act of reading. You mean you've read it already? It is my business to know what other people do not. Yes, believe it or not, I know a smattering of Japanese. Oh, I see. Well, you're about to know what a Susato takedown is. No, she likes her luck. Susato-san? Aren't you going to throw the detective with one of your trademark takedowns? I'm sorry, Naruhodo-san. What on earth do you mean? Life is so unfair. Anyway, to return to the matter at hand, namely, this diary belonging to the victim. It would appear the final sentence is incomplete, as if the author cut short. Tell me, what is the nature of the writing? Pray be precise as to details. Oh, but I thought you knew Japanese. A smattering, dear boy, a smattering. Sayonara, bonsai, mikado, nado nado. I trust you're suitably impressed. Hi, so desu. But this diary is littered with complicated-looking characters, of which I can read precisely none. Ha 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 ha! Ah ha 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 ha! So what was all that showing off about before then? If you would be so kind as to show me, I would be happy to read it to you, Mr. Sholmes. I'm much obliged, my dear madame. The final entry here in Kazuma-sama's diary consists of just 2 short sentences, and I think I couldn't be in any more pain. I am certain there is even more pain for you in the future, Ada. The first reads, 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. A whistling sound? These are very deep waters. Pray, go on. The second sentence reads, 1:35 a.m. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. Aha! Is this where he gets bitten by a snake? A speckled band? What on earth does that mean? I have no idea. I've never heard that expression before. The ventilator grill, did you say? The man was presumably referring to the lattice there on the wall, which connects to the adjoining cabin. So did someone sneak like a rattlesnake in here or something like that? And that might have been the whistling that he sort of mistook it for? Yes, the adjoining cabin. Alright. According to the last entry he made, spied what appeared to be a speckled band. So, I believe I've given you enough to consider, for the time being at least. Now we have to get further details with this. Alright, so it just establishes that. Gotcha. Do you have somewhere to go? As it happens, the victim's writings in his diary have piqued my interest. The matter warrants further investigation, I believe. And if I am still too long, the seasickness takes hold. Oh, I suppose you're thinking of investigating the cabin next door, which the ventilator connects to? Great detectives are a curious breed. Our minds rebel at stagnation, crave mental exaltation. So yes, I intend to investigate. Hence, the truth will become clear soon enough. You think perhaps that we can go with you? No, that would be somewhat complicated. What? But why? A simple glance at your wrists should reveal the answer. Oh, these. After all, you're the prime suspect in this matter. No? There's no point in trying to turn it into a question. You're the one who decided I was the culprit in the first place. Whatever do you mean? I have no recollection of naming you as the culprit at any point. You must be joking. You just said it only a moment ago. Dear me, you are clearly misguided. I would have no cause to say such a thing. Well, actually, Mr. Sholmes, I did hear you say that too. You're quite sure? Well, that's very strange. I wouldn't have said you had the face of a criminal, you know? Oh, really? You said that I was a Russian revolutionary who killed 16 people. What? Were you looking at my knees before? Some great detective you are. Well, anyway. That was then, and this is now. What do you mean? What I mean, sir, is this. If you are the culprit, then you must play the part more convincingly. Roll over and accept your fate. Ah! Now he's just being plain rude. And off he goes, having just laughed in my face. Sense of humor's as twisted as his name. Naruhodo-san, what are you just standing there for? Hmm? We must go and investigate the cabin next door as well. Huh? You forgetting something? What about these? There's no way that I can... Ah! After Kazuma-sama spent his dying moments struggling to leave us a clue, you're willing to give up? You're just going to roll over and accept your fate? Ah, as if you gave me any choice in the rolling over part. Help me back up. I think we still have some investigation to finish up in here first, don't we? Let's carry on examining what we can in this cabin while we wait for a chance to slip next door. Good idea. The situation doesn't look too good for me, but there are still things I can do to help myself. I owe it to Kazuma to do everything I can to find a way out of this and bring the real culprit to justice. Oh, is that another sailor? Something wrong, Naruhodo-san? Oh, no, it's just that crewman standing by the door. Can't help feeling like I've seen him somewhere before. Is it the real murderer? Oh yes, you're right. He does look familiar. Excuse me, sir? Yes, what can I do for you? Oh! It's him! I recognize that face, but it can't be. Are you trying to flee the country and break quarantine and spread TB across the world? It is. I didn't know you were here, Inspector Hosonaga. Have you stolen some of the evidence, by the way? Hello again. What are you doing here? I think that should be my line. Adaver is slowly dying. I was so stunned when I saw you. My heart stopped. Nearly stopped, I hope. I received some special orders to go undercover as a member of the crew and board this ship. Again? You certainly seem to enjoy undercover work, Inspector. This reminds me of 428 Shibuya Scramble, with that other detective guy who's always getting dressed up in costumes. If there's anything I can do to help you, please ask. Never expected to see this man on board. Perhaps his presence can help me out of this hopeless situation. Alright, we've examined everything here. Examine this again. Okay, whatever. Let's just talk with our man. Our man! Can we move, by the way? Can't I just roll over and accept my fate? I have to find a way out of this cabin. I'm gonna turn this desperate situation around somehow, and the inspector in front of me is my only chance. Okay. Oh shit! I forgot to present evidence to the other guy. Like the other evidence. Inspector, can I show you this? What the? Is that the fabled Imperial Yume University pin badge? I'm not sure if it's really fabled exactly, but... So, you're a genuine student, then? Sorry? Nothing like me, with my regular schooling. You're something much greater. Is that what you were trying to say? Can I have my badge back, please? This is the paper seal that was stuck over the wardrobe doors this morning, isn't it? That's right. To try and stop the cabin steward opening it up and discovering me. Wouldn't it have been better to write it in English if you didn't know Russian? Maybe, but food or paper amulets like this are part of our culture, Inspector. And I thought if I made it look creepy enough, people would be too scared to want to look inside. It isn't easy being a stowaway, is it? Let me just quickly check over here. Alright, so we're not going to sort of accidentally progress the game by presenting evidence, are we? Have you seen this photograph yet, Inspector? Oh dear. Are you alright, Inspector? Yes. Sorry, I'm fine. I was hoping to hide my upset with a bit of coughing and spluttering. I'm usually very good at it. But trying to stifle my feelings seems to have stifled my cough this time. It's all so sad. Asogi-san was such a promising young man. The Empire had high hopes for him. I had such high hopes for him, even though I'm just a detective. They're all going to miss you, Kazuma. Okay, revolutionary article. Can I show you this newspaper, Inspector? I'm sorry, but I can't read Russian very well. Oh, no, that's alright. I know what it says. So, you just wanted to point out your university-level linguistics talents. Is that it? Sorry? Nothing like me with my regular schooling. You're something much greater. Oh, someone's jealous. Is that what you were trying to say? Sorry. Forget I mentioned it. How about this one? You gonna say something different? I thought he might comment on the ballerina. Okay, diary. What's that? It's Kazuma's diary. Just before he died, Kazuma-sama wrote something rather strange in his diary. Strange? In what way? He wrote, what looks like some kind of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. A speckled band? That is strange. Yes. I'm still trying to work out what he meant by that, but what I'd like to know is... Don't tell me. The ventilator, is it? You're very astute, Inspector. That ventilator clearly joins to the next door cabin. That's right. So if we could investigate in there, we might be able to work out what the speckled band was. Oh crap, we might be progressing. Can we quickly reload? Autosave. This was a few minutes ago. About 10 minutes or so. We could do that, right? Hold on, let me save here first, just in case. And we will load that. Because we want to see all the dialogue, right? Okay. This was still with Sholmes here. We'll just fast forward this stuff. And I'll take a quick drink while we do that. Okay. Is there a faster fast forward option, I wonder? Doesn't seem like there is. Ah well. Okay. And a flip. Okay, keep on going. I knew I should have saved. Welcome home, Ada. Okay, come on. Alright. Let's converse. So, what are your special orders this time, Inspector? Yes, and why are you dressed as a member of the crew? I'm so sorry. This is all my fault. I take full responsibility. For what? My orders were to act as Asogi-san's bodyguard. Really? It was Minister of Justice Jigoku who pushed for this overseas study to go ahead. His name is Jigoku? Isn't that hell in Japanese? And he entrusted me with ensuring that Asogi-san reached Great Britain without being assassinated. Assassinated? How could that even have been a possibility? I'm not sure. These are complicated times. There are tensions between the world's greatest powers. Minister Jigoku said we should be prepared for all eventualities. This is incredible. I don't believe it. Kazuma-sama was assassinated? Obviously, we couldn't give Asogi-san a visible security escort. Which is why I'm undercover now, posing as one of the crew. I see. And I didn't take my eyes off him the entire time we've been on board, from morning until night, every day. I never imagined it would happen here, inside his own cabin, not here on the first-class deck. I have failed miserably at my assignment, and Asogi-san is dead as a result. I'm a disgrace. All I can do is humbly apologize. Inspector. So, if there's anything at all that I can do to help now, just say the word. Permission to investigate? We're doing what we can to investigate Kazuma's death ourselves. I thought you might be. You didn't do it, did you? You're not the killer? Of course not! Would really like to investigate the cabin next door. Yes, so we need to be allowed out of this cabin. I'm sorry. What? You've been deemed a risk for the ship's safety. If you move to even touch the handle of the cabin door, that stormy-looking seaman there would surely snap your neck in two. I suppose I'm not just a stowaway now. I think I'm a murderer as well. would it be possible to give me something to work with, do you think? I'm going to need something persuasive. Which is, the evidence that we were presenting before. If I had a solid reason why the next door cabin should be investigated, for example, I'd do everything I could to persuade the captain to allow it. Really, I'd lay my life on the line if I had to. But I don't see how... There may be a way. What? Really? Think of how you tried to persuade me of your innocence, Naruhodo-san. By presenting me with a piece of evidence that you already had in your possession. Evidence? Yep, it's just the same as when you were in court. You must have done it many times during your trial. Tutorial! Select the present panel and choose some evidence that Inspector Hosonaga could use. Evidence that would give us a viable reason to investigate the next door cabin, is it? Alright. I think I might know what we can use. Let's see if I can present to the detective with some evidence. And it was this one. Okay. Can't leave this cabin at the moment. I'm stuck here until we arrive at the next port. The captain has given me strict orders to guard the scene of the crime, you see. I'll have to entrust the investigation to you. Really? You're willing to do that? Yes. As long as you don't leave the first-class cabin area. I'm afraid I can't remove those handcuffs, though. But what about the captain? Aren't you going against his direct orders? He said he would disobey for us. I'm a man of my word. And I promise you that I'll lay my life on the line if that's what it takes to convince the captain. After all, I failed to keep Asogi-san safe. This is the least I can do. Thank you. Let's seize the moment then, Naruhodo-san. Just select move, and we can leave this cabin at last. Hey, move. Alright, let's see what we can find out. Maybe we could have spoken with him anyway, with that stuff. Alright. What if we try to talk with you again? Excuse me? What? Wondering if I could ask you a favor. Would you mind if I investigated a little outside? Japanese people do not make jokes. Oh, hold on. Yep. In the middle of the sea, there's no chance of me escaping. You stay, alright. But can we just walk past him? What happens when we do this? Alright, apparently this is all fine. Alright, 9th January, 7:48 AM, SS Buria. First class cabin passageway. Ah, phew. Finally out of that cabin. I have to admit, this isn't quite what I was expecting. It's less spacious out here than I thought it would be. And this is the most luxurious accommodation. Ships are small. Yes, indeed. Hasuna-sama was being sent on this study tour by the government. Well, ships are small in terms of how much space you can allocate to passengers, I guess. You have to cram them in. That's why he was being put up in a first-class cabin. Even still, this is about twice as large as my accommodation in steerage. Really? That must be awful. Oh, look over there. That's another crewman keeping watch. He looks enormous, even if he's sitting down. Door next to him leads to the second-class accommodation. So he's making sure that no one comes in here who shouldn't. I suppose, like, people in handcuffs? Naruhodo-san, you look like a little boy visiting a toy shop for the first time. I would have thought you'd be used to the ship by now. We've been at sea for 2 weeks already. Never out of this room! Oh, yes, I know, but the thing is, I was inside Kazuma's trunk when I first came aboard. And ever since then, I've been shut up inside that little wardrobe. Must have been a very trying time for you. Please, don't give me that pitying look. Alright. Let's have a look around here, shall we? Got all these different sorts of things here. Let's talk with Big and Burly over here, shall we? Who's dressed up in a school uniform. Excuse me, but could I ask you something? You little stowaway murderer. That wasn't a good start, was it? Alright, let me try instead. Good day, Mr. Sailor. I'm so sorry to trouble you, but could I perhaps ask something of you? You little third-class lady's maid. Oh. We seem to have caught this sailor on a bad day, Susato-san. I am not sailor. My mother gave me name. I am senior crewman Biff Stroganoff. Beef Stroganoff, huh? Beefcake! He's certainly beefy, and I bet he could biff you on the head pretty good. Phew. Best thing is, just to avoid eye contact, I think. Tell me about the first class cabin area, Beefcake? Beef boy? Beef man? Mr. Stroganov? About this, this first class cabin area. Here, we are in finest part of Boudiat's steamship. For very important persons. What sort of very important persons? Government officials, kings and queens traveling in secret, many important persons. That is why I am always guarding this place. Gosh, that's amazing. But somehow, I let stupid stowaway inside. I want to pick you up and throw you in the ocean. But Stroganov is not animal. Thank you. If I may, I was wondering, is the cabin next to Mr. Asogi's currently occupied? Da! Susato-san, did you understand that? It sounded like da! I think it's probably Russian for yes. Or no. Genius. It is not permitted to visit other cabins without invitation. Well, it sounds like there is somebody in the next door cabin at least. Wonder if it's that ballerina. Yes. It's tantalizing. Or possibly the revolutionary. Passenger in the next door cabin. Could you tell us who's traveling in the cabin next to Mr. Asogi's? His name is Mr. Grimsby Roylott. He is a very important Western gentleman. Oh, old Grimy. Grimsby Roylott. Like Grimes as in grimy and Roylott as in rotten, perhaps? A Western gentleman. Do not think about it. He has nothing to do with the murder of student boy. How can you be so sure about that? Mr. Roylott is authentic Western gentleman. Such a man would have no interest in lowly student from insignificant Far East Islands. That was harsh. You know, we kicked your ass in the Russo-Japanese War, you know. Would you tell us when Mr. Roylott came aboard? That is not your business. Come to think of it, even though we've been at sea for 2 weeks now, and I've been in Kazuma's cabin the entire time, I never once heard anything from the next door cabin, or even felt like there's anyone there. Because he came on board yesterday, or like the day, yesterday or whatever, precisely when we sort of made dock at Shanghai, I think was mentioned, and so he must be the person who... He could be the Russian revolutionary. Well, presumably, since this gentleman is occupying one of the first-class cabins, he must be rather important. Is that right? That is not your business. Alright, could you tell me about last night at all, Beef Boy? Are you on watch here all the time, Seaman Stroganov? Da! All time. So criminals like you cannot come in. Or get out. I wonder, would you tell us anything about last night at all? It is sad about Student Boy. Weren't you on watch last night as well? Of course. And did you notice anything at the time? Anything unusual? Niet! Susato-san, did you understand that? It was clearly, no! I saw nothing unusual. Nothing at all. And you didn't hear any strange noises? Or sense anything was wrong in some way? He's looking away now. I said, niet! Sorry. I'm not so sure. Could have sworn that he wouldn't catch my eye for a moment there. He was certainly looking away there. This is enough. I cannot say more now. Oh. It is time for me to report to Captain. You must return to cabin. Yes, alright. Oh, crap. Did I do it again? Did we miss out on examining this place? Bulkhead to second class area is staying locked at all times. You escape when the lobster whistles on top of the mountain. Or, as English say, when pigs fly. Yes, I understand. Good. Now we can investigate this area properly, shall we? Definitely. Okay, cool. We can investigate now. Never mind then. I did the right thing first. Examine this door. That's the way to the second class area of the ship. Is something wrong? I was thinking about making a run for it. Just for a moment. Things aren't exactly going well for me. I might be wrong, but I imagine the moment you reach for the handle of the door, that burly seaman surely shoot you dead. He's not here now. Dear, I'm sorry. Perhaps I went a little too far there. No, started it with my talk of running away. There's no way I could run away while Kazuma's death remains a mystery anyway. Okay. What have we got here? That book on top of the table there really is huge. There's a pen with it too. Yes. I'm sure that's the ship's log. Shall we have a little look through it? Writing is so neat and precise. Every detail about the voyage has been meticulously recorded. Wouldn't expect a rough and ready sailor to have such beautiful handwriting. Anyway, look here. Last night's log is mostly blank. Presumably that means there was nothing to report. But it's all in Russian, right? I suppose you could tell that last night's was mostly blank, I guess. Alright, ship section. Ship section. Ship section. There we go. This looks like a plan of the SS Burya. Shows each deck. Look. Burya is a large-scale steamship with a triple-skinned hull. What a marvel of engineering. Well, it's been playing on my mind for a while now, actually, but how is it that such a huge lump of metal doesn't just sink to the bottom of the ocean? Buoyancy. Oh, that's really quite simple, Naruhodo-san. It is? Well, consider the Japanese archipelago. The islands of Japan? Yes, they're not metal, but they are enormous lumps of earth, many, many times larger than this ship. And they don't sink, do they? They've been floating happily on the sea since the gods created them. I mean, I'm pretty sure the land is... Whatever, let's go with that. Well, I suppose so. Alright, you're right, but for the wrong reasons. What's this? Ah, a trap for catching mice. Ooh! Yes, we have plenty of those back home in Japan. Though they seem to be using a lump of chalk or something as bait. Let me see. Yes, I think that's what is called cheese. It's made from the milk of cows. Not actually good at catching mice. You're better off using rockmelon seeds. Cheese. I wonder what that tastes like. You can't eat it, Naruhodo-san. The trap would snap shut on your fingers. Really? But... I suppose you're right. You weren't actually going to try it, were you? All I've had to eat for the past couple of weeks is Kazuma's leftovers. I don't know how hungry I've been in that wardrobe. Poor you. I'll find a little snack for you later. Okay. First class cabin number 1. Yeah, that's our cabin. Not our cabin. It's Kazuma-sama's. Sorry? Your accommodation is confined to the wardrobe inside the cabin. You know how to make a stowaway feel small, don't you? Small as the wardrobe I have been calling home. These cabins are the finest on the ship. My own cabin in steerage is number 539, by the way. 500 and... How many cabins are there? 540. Let's ring the alarm. What do you think this is? Very pleasing shape, isn't it? That's the emergency alarm. It's probably best not to touch it. Oh, an alarm. It says, press only in times of emergency. Looks as though it sets alarm bells ringing all over the ship and brings the vessel to a complete stop. Oh boy. Oh. This I have to see. What are you doing, Naruhodo-san? You mustn't touch it. But this is an emergency situation. Just look at these handcuffs. You know full well that's not what the alarm is for. If you were to bring this ship to a standstill for no good reason, you'd be in an even worse situation. I wish everything would just stop. This ship included. See you, Kuro. If you have to do something foolish, at least make it something that doesn't affect anyone else. Okay. So we got the door over here. Do we have anything else in the court record now, like people? Yep. Not a person in the world who hasn't heard of this famous great detective. Not a person except me, apparently. Chief Inspector in the Imperial Police Bureau, undercover mission posing as a member of the ship's crew, and Beef Stroganov, a real wall of a man, and senior member of the Russian crew who's in charge of security around the first-class cabins. Oh, Biff. Beef boy. Beef man. This is the cabin next to ours. The one the ventilator connects to. Yes. The ventilator from which Kazama-sama wrote that he saw a speckled band emerging. Maybe whoever's in this cabin can help solve that particular mystery. Let's ask. Is it gonna be Herlock? No answer. We're out of luck, it seems. There's no one in there to help with our inquiries. How annoying. Ah! What was that? Came from inside the cabin. Such a high-pitched scream. It must have been a woman. Nope, that was Herlock screaming about snakes. Stand aside! I'm about to break the door down. Oh no, Herlock's out here, I guess. Alright, fair enough. So I guess maybe it is the ballerina. Mr. Sholmes! I shan't be stopped. When the fit is on me, I revel in kicking doors off their hinges. Please, wait, Mr. Sholmes. The door doesn't appear to be bolted. It doesn't. And how the deuce can I dispatch this muscular urge? What, pray, can I kick? I think we should just go in. There's no time to think about stress relief. 9th of January. SS Buria. First class cabin, number 2. Aha! It's a Russian revolutionary. Who are you? A Western gentleman? This man looks Russian to me. We heard a woman scream. A woman? Don't be absurd. Ah! I see what's happening now. I know what's happening now. Okay. Okay, so this ballerina has dressed up as this revolutionary here, I think. Although that's not the same beard. Either way, she's dressed up as this gentleman, I guess. It's not the same revolutionary, just similar. Like the beard is different, like the mustache over here. But either way, it's the ballerina. A woman? Don't be absurd. As you can see, there's nobody but me in this cabin. True. This old man doesn't appear to be the only person in here. That gets you bonked, senpai, when you're being horny. Hope you're doing alright, by the way. Well, hope you're still doing alright, I guess, since you were in here earlier. This old man does appear to be the only person in here. But in that case, who just screamed? Aha, the books are knocked down here as well. Get out! All of you, now! Please excuse the intrusion, but you're Mr. Grimesby Roylott, I believe? Watching Ruby, huh? Okay. Well, all the best with getting your roleplay on. Yes, that's me. And you are? We have him in here now. Yes we do. An older Russian gentleman traveling on the ship. He's staying in the first-class cabin next to Kazuma. But he is actually the ballerina. I am the one and only, the actual Herlock Sholmes. You've heard of me, no doubt? No. I am a great detective among great detectives. One who adorns the covers of popular magazines, no less. So I assure you, you may trust me completely. Man uses that magazine like a business card. A detective. I do not trust detectives. Right you are. Don't trust detectives, don't trust cops. We distinctly heard a scream emanating from within these walls. But there wouldn't appear to be a lady concealing herself within the wardrobe this time. So, might I be so bold as to ask you to open that small traveling case? What? Don't be stupid. How could anyone fit in a small trunk like that? Well, it's quite fashionable these days, is it not? Traveling inside one's trunk. Don't look at me. Also, my trunk was a lot bigger than that one. Oh! My. Did you see that, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes! The case just shook. Leave, now! Otherwise, I'll call the steward. So this is Kazuma's neighbor, Mr. Grimesby Roylott. There's no doubt about it. This strange Russian man is hiding something. I couldn't agree more. Let's see if we can find some clues before that burly sailor returns. Okay. Let's save here real quick. And let's just present everything to him right now. Mr. Roylott, what do you make of this? Listen, do you know why I am wearing these dark glasses? No, not really. So I do not have to look at things I do not want to look at. Do you understand me? I wish I could point out that you can still see things even when wearing sunglasses. This chilly air has frozen my lips shut. Have you seen this before? I've never seen those strange letters before in my life. It says, "Keep out" in Japanese. I haven't heard of that language. Seriously? Is the Empire of Japan really that insignificant on the world stage? This word was written on the floor in ink next to where the man died, as if he wrote it in his last moments. It's Russian, isn't it? We believe it means wardrobe. Is that right? Yes, that is right. Could you tell us how it's pronounced, please? Like that. Oh, that was pointless. It is very sad. Sorry? The steward told me. He was a young man. Yes. He was my best friend. It's a terrible tragedy. We have this Russian newspaper here. I have the same newspaper in my cabin. Maybe they give it to all first-class passengers. Well, neither of us speak a word of Russian, so we can't read it at all. Would you mind telling us what this article is about? If you do not speak Russian, you do not need to know what it is saying. Russia must be a cold, cold place. How about this one? Will you react to this one? Have this Russian newspaper here. Okay. This guy's not going to respond to that. Have you seen this? I do not know what that is. I can't read it. It's a travel diary written by the man who was killed. It's in Japanese. I haven't heard of that language. Seriously? Okay. So we're going to talk with him first, and then explore the room. Last night. Mr. Roylott, we'd like to talk to you about something. No! Oh. I do not want to talk. Leave my cabin now. This is going terribly. It's not getting anywhere here. I agree. Maybe someone else who can help. Perhaps that great detective gets somewhere with Mr. Roylott. Yeah, we're just going to... Alright. About the incident. Alright, he doesn't want to talk. Okay. Let's just examine this place. We're not going to talk with you yet. What do you think you're doing? Ah! This is my cabin. Get out. Could we just have a quick look inside your traveling case, perhaps? No! Ah, what a pity. I think we're out of luck. I think you're right. Doesn't appear to be anything more we can do. I agree. Maybe someone who can help. Perhaps a great detective. Alright, so all of this is unselectable to us because our Roylott here doesn't like us. Do you have a moment, please, Mr. Sholmes? You need only address me as Sholmes. That's what I just did, isn't it? Well, Mr. Sholmes, what were you doing in there? Why, I was resting, of course. Resting? Indeed. I was contemplating our sea voyage to the confines of the wardrobe whilst waiting. Waiting for the inevitable time that you would need to call my great powers of detection into service. Oh! And it would seem that the hour is upon us now. The time has come. Am I mistaken? No, actually. You're spot on. For once. Observe closely. Our Russian host in this cabin, Mr. Roylott, is clearly trying to hide something. And do you know what is the most effective weapon to use against a Russian hiding a secret? Vodka? Why? The truth, of course. though it should be pointed out that such methods are not exclusively for the Russians. Right. Can you imagine how the Russian will react when the secret he guards so closely is exposed? Would you like to witness it? Oh yes, please! Just gonna open the case, are you? Well then, what you are about to see may well astound you. For I am about to apply my great detective's greatly admired great deduction to the case. That's a lot of greats there. Could this man be a more hackneyed portrayal of a dubious Russian, I ask you? He looks pretty stereotypical to me, sir. What? From time to time, it occurs to me. Is the fellow dubious on account of his Russianness, or Russian on account of his dubiousness? I really don't think either of those things should be occurring to you. Or anyone. That's right. And Mr. Sholmes? I know this man's beard and dark glasses are hard to ignore, especially on first meeting, but I once read, it is a capital mistake to theorize before you have all the evidence. It biases the judgment. Shh. I must have complete silence. What are you doing? Why are you peeling at my face like that? Ah, just as I thought. Yes, I have quite made up my mind now. There can be no other explanation that accommodates all the facts. Mr. Roylott, I have reached 2 incontrovertible conclusions. What do you mean? Number 1, your true identity is that of a villain. Using those shears, you are about to end the existence of something most dear. I mean, I don't think this person is necessarily a villain per se. I think that's they're just meant to look shady. I don't think they're actually a villain. Are you not? Huh. And number 2, the other conclusion I have drawn, you are, at this very moment no less, in the midst of committing a most grievous crime. Beneath that beard, your mouth quivers with nervous tension as you realize you have been discovered. Does it not? Ah! Oh, Malhodo-san! I never imagined that I would witness one of Mr. Sholmes' great deductions with my own eyes. That was a great deduction? Nothing can deceive Mr. Sholmes. In a single glance, he can deduce all there is to know about a person. What? What ineffable twaddle! Twaddle, I say! Oh yes, I've read about it countless times in the adventures of Herlock Sholmes. And now I've experienced the astonishing impact of his great deduction firsthand. This is like a dream come true. I can hardly believe it. But all the colour has drained from Mr. Roylott's face. Looks like somehow both of Mr. Sholmes' conclusions were right. How could you? How could I possibly know such things, you wish to say? Very well then. I shall elucidate. I shall explain how it was that I arrived at this pair of conclusions. So I do cordially invite you upon a journey of logical discovery. Let us board the train of reasoning. Choo-choo! All aboard! Put plainly, let us work through my deductions together. The great deduction. The game is afoot. Topic 1. Old man's identity. So, the dubious-looking Russian Mr. Roylott. Obviously, what catches the eye in the first place? How did he do that? Is the enormous pair of shears in your hand? Now, we ask ourselves, what could you possibly want with such an implement? The answer, of course, staring us in the face. You were on the verge of using the shears to cut away the copious beard that you sport. Now, moving on. The question then begged is this: why would you desire to rid yourself of this magnificent beard, Mr. Roylott? Once again, the answer is plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on the matter. Regards, if you will, this morning's newspaper. In particular, the fascinating front page article, which, it would appear, you have read also, Mr. Roylott. I'm sure it needs no further clarification. The evidence that reveals your true identity is the article about the revolutionary. In translation, the headline reads, Revolutionary Vilen Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. Nope. Hiding the newspaper because of the one that's on the back. This here is Pavlova. As you cannot fail to observe, the subject of the article possesses an extremely copious beard. Not the same beard. Having noted the article yourself, you decided to remove your incriminating facial hair before it gave you away. In short, your true identity is beyond doubt. You are the fearsome Russian revolutionary himself, Vilen Bolshevik. Not that I've heard of you myself, you understand. Hey, Rel. How are you going? Yeah, it is indeed Herlock Sholmes. We're up to Great Ace Attorney nonsense. And he's an idiot. He's a complete idiot. Now, very dramatic though, I'm enjoying this. As for my second conclusion, you are, at this very moment, on the brink of committing a most grievous crime. Back on the making other people's art into other art train. Okay. Well, congratulations on getting back on that train. We're currently on the logic train. And the proof of this crime? Over there. Oh yes, Mr. Roylott, if that is indeed your true name. Taken unawares, people have a propensity to let their eyes stray, you see. And I assure you, the eyes speak so much more eloquently and honestly than the mouth. Answer we seek lies where the furtive glance falls. The proof of your crime sits before our very eyes. Yes, that traveling case. Now, I believe that Pavlova happens to have smuggled her pet on board. There wasn't any mention of it, but that is my suspicion. And that is the crime that this person has responded to. Or possibly the theft of the diamond tiara, maybe. It is time, I think, that the case be opened and its contents laid bare. We noticed on the board before that no pets are allowed on this ship. No, I refuse. What could you possibly be concealing inside, we ask? By my estimation, a young lady, perhaps? One slight enough to fit therein. Don't be absurd. And what, pray, would be the identity of this young lady in the traveling case? Dear me, we are not well suited to a life of crime, are we? Your careless coup d'oeil betrays you. Once again, we need only follow your furtive glance to find the answer. Yes, the reason you refuse to open your traveling case can equally be found in the pages of this newspaper. But he's the great detective, Sherlock Holmes. For there is another, more stimulating article. If we turn from the fleeing revolutionary to the back page, renowned prima ballerina of the Novovich Ballet disappears from Shanghai. Such a headline can lead us to but one conclusion. Your crime is that of abduction. And according to the article, the young lady's name is Nikolina Pavlova. Thus concludes Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of this Russian enigma. Elemensky. This person is basically refusing to talk. We basically just barged our way in after hearing a scream. Susato-san? That wasn't one of the great deductions I've been hearing so much about, was it? Well, the stories are full of Mr. Sholm's brilliant deductions, you know? But that did seem a little different, somehow. Excuse me, Mr. Sholmes? Could you come over here a moment? Pray, what can I do for you? It's about your deductions. Would you mind? Not at all. Go on. Well, to start with, there's this newspaper article. I think we had the same discussion before, but these two men look nothing like each other. Ah, yes. I recall our discussion earlier, and at that time, I believe I told you that the man is a revolutionary, well able to revolutionize his own appearance. In fairness to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Roylott does look more like this man than you do. That's not the point. And another thing, that part about him abducting the ballerina? Indeed, a truly startling revelation. At first glance, the case would appear too small to accommodate a young woman. Not just at first glance, it is too small, clearly! You'd be lucky to fit a 5-year-old child into that case, even if you pushed really hard. I don't suppose the missing ballerina is a 5-year-old child, is she? You mean you don't know? No, the young lady is 15. No, I didn't know. How could I? Well, if she is 15, then 10 years worth of her would be poking out from the case. Some years ago, I read something pertinent, I believe. A troop of men consuming vinegar daily in order to promote a certain litheness in their bodies. My assumption is that Herlock Sholmes is just barging into places blaming his own crimes on people to try to get away with things. I'm guessing that his partner was actually the one who solves the crimes, and Herlock here is just taking the credit, or the partner's just writing him as the protagonist to distract. Vinegar. For such a sour bunch, it would surely be simplicity itself to contort oneself into the confines of that small case. Oh dear, you might be thinking of contortionists in the circus, Mr. Sholmes. This whole thing is turning into a circus. Are you a clown, Mr. Sholmes? No? Perhaps you are the whole circus. Mr. Naruhodo? Something's occurred to me about Mr. Sholmes' deductions just now. I think his powers of observation are, well, magical. His eyes cut to the heart of a matter almost instantly. It's just where he directs his attention and his logic that seems a little off. Your idea of a little, maybe a little off itself, Miss Susato. It's just one or two key words in his deductions that seem to let him down. So I was wondering if we might perhaps tactfully switch them for alternatives. What do you think? Switch some key words in his deductions. Yes, but very tactfully. I feel sure if we could do that, we'd unlock the true genius of Mr. Sholmes' great deduction. Precisely the thought that was going through my own mind. This man is a lot of work. At times, I wonder how anyone puts up with me. Ha 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 ha! It's not that funny. And you, my good fellow. Sorry? Take a moment to look at your wrists. My wrists? Where are your handcuffs? Huh? How did... I felt they may hinder your ability to follow me in our dance of deduction. I don't believe it. Mr. Sholmes, you are a marvel. And don't worry, I shall restore the shackles to your wrists when we are finished. I'm not worried. In fact, I'd rather stay like this. So, let us begin. Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. So, the dubious-looking Russian, Mr. Roylott. Obviously, what catches the eye in the first place is the enormous pair of shears in your hand. Now, we ask ourselves, okay, so we're just sort of going over what we've already gone over. What could you possibly want with such an implement? Staring us in the face. You're on the verge of using the shears to cut away the beard that you sport. Question mark. I'm not sure. Would you really use shears like that to cut off a beard? I doubt that's something I'll ever have to worry about. Doesn't quite sit right with me, though. Doesn't seem to be sitting right with Mr. Roylott either. Which means, I suppose, that the deduction is wrong. Let's try to switch a key word here, Naruhodo-san, and see if it helps matters. Alright, but how? I think we should start by taking a long, hard look at Mr. Roylott. I wonder if it's really his beard that he intends to use those shears on. Exactly. If we do manage to find something that seems to fit the sense of Mr. Sholm's deduction better, then what? Then I'll leave the rest in your capable hands, Naruhodo-san. Why am I the one to do something about this? Anyway, let's see if there's anything we could even use to switch around in that last sentence. What exactly was Mr. Roylott really going to use those enormous shears for? Thick hat, copious beard. Aha! As I thought. Golden locks. But what happens? What happens if I press on the other things first? Let's examine things for a second. Because I want to get the wrong answers first, assuming it's not going to penalize me.
Yes.
Coat buttons. Oh, it is. Damn it. How long ago was this one? Another 10 minutes. Geez, alright. It wasn't coming up with a thing, so I thought it would be fine. For years you have lived in the icy climes of your homeland wearing that thick coat for warmth. For so many years, in fact, something terrible has happened. You've forgotten how to undo buttons. Now, in the warmth of this cabin, you find yourself sweltering and desperate to remove your outer layer. That deduction was wanting in every way. Yes, I was wanting you to hear it. I'm quite proud of it. I find myself wanting never to have heard it. Quite pained by it, in fact. Oh, sorry. I'll try again. Alright, so we actually do have to get things right, because it is going to penalize us. Okay. Let's see if it... Okay. So, it was obviously these.
Yes.
You were on the verge of using the shears to cut away the golden locks you sport. Indeed, you have identified the precise detail I was intending to expose. Such lush, golden hair certainly does not befit an old man. You're not a man at all. You're a woman. And judging from the length and sheen of your hair, one still very much in her youth. Oh no. If only I had managed to cut off my hair, no one would have suspected. Question then begged is this: why would you desire to rid yourself of these magnificent locks? Once again, the answer is plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on the matter. I'm sure it needs no further clarification. The evidence that reveals your true identity is the article about the revolutionary. Not at all. Well, that was a shock. No idea the old man was really a young woman in disguise, did you? I mean, I called it instantly. So, I don't know. I think I have what it takes to be a lawyer now. What? Why are you staring at me like that? Yes, it was a surprise. Naruhodo-san, you're enjoying this, aren't you? Sorry? You look like you're in your element as you dance around the room deducing the facts with Mr. Sholmes. I'm just doing what we agreed. I'm not having fun or anything. This is strictly business, not strictly... Yes, I understand. Say no more. Well, anyway, let's focus on this next part of Mr. Sholmes' deduction, shall we? The evidence that he's picked out doesn't fit the facts at all now. No, that's true, given that Mr. Roylott is actually a woman. Exactly, he, or rather she, can't possibly be this merciless revolutionary. I suppose it's because the deduction as a whole has taken a different direction now. Yes. Let's switch the evidence for something else. Something that fits the facts as we now understand them. For some reason, this woman needed to try to hide her true identity. I feel as though I've either read or heard about a young woman in such a situation like that recently. Alright, I'll do my best. It's this one!
Yes!
The evidence that reveals your true identity is, of course, the article about the ballerina. That's right. You've hit the nail on the head. Renowned prima ballerina of the Novovich Ballet disappears from Shanghai. It would appear we are finally able to address you by your true name. Yes, because your true identity is that of the Novovich Ballet's prima ballerina. Miss Nikolina Pavlova. Ah! You still had your earrings on? Gee, that cloak's a lot more form-fitting now. You're right. My real name is Nina. I mean, Nikolina Pavlova. But please, I beg you, don't tell anyone. Solved! Obviously, you didn't kidnap yourself. Now, as for my second conclusion, you are, at this very moment, on the brink of committing a most grievous crime. And the proof of this crime, over there. Oh yes, Miss Pavlova. Taken unawares, people have a propensity to let their eyes stray, you see. And I assure you the eyes speak so much more eloquently and honestly than the mouth. The answer we seek lies where the furtive glance falls. The proof of your crime sits before our very eyes. Yes, that traveling case. This woman is the ballerina, and she's right in front of our eyes. So clearly she can't be inside that traveling case as well. No, that's right. It seems she wasn't abducted at all. In which case, what is the crime that this young woman is apparently committing? He just really wants to break into the luggage and he doesn't care who opens it. Well, there's something alive inside. And I think it's a pet, like it was rattling earlier. See, I'm going to have to step in and fix the great detective's mistake again. You seem to look pleased, Naruhodo-san. Do you like the idea of another chance to dance around with Mr. Sholmes? Stop it. It's a bob. It could be a snake. Anyway, there must be something else here that shows what this woman is up to. Okay, traveling case. Tiara. Yep, so it's about that, I would assume. Because that tiara is valuable.
Yes!
The proof of your crime is surely this tiara. Battery-operated boyfriend. Ah, I see. That completely went over my head. Ah! I believe this tiara is worn on stage by dancers in the Novovich Ballet, is it not? Indeed, it would appear to be identical to the tiara pictured here in this newspaper article. And if the reporting is to be believed, it's an item worth 20,000 rubles. In summary, the crime you have committed is theft. Oh no. Yes, you left your ballet troupe, unlawfully taking their precious tiara with you. Ah. I have no one, no family, no friends. I am all alone, and I need money. But I did not steal the tiara. It was a present from, how do you say, an Earl of Prussia. It belongs to me. This girl is only 15 years old, and she's run away all by herself. Did the ballet not pay you? If so, that's heinous. She must have been extremely lonely. All right, I will tell you everything. There is no point to hiding it now. Come, let us not be hasty. What? There remains one unsolved mystery about you. A mystery? What do you mean? You have staunchly refused to open this traveling case of yours in our presence. It is reasonable to conclude, therefore, that there exists some reason why you wish it to remain closed. Is that not so, Miss Pavlova? My dear girl, there is no sense in playing games with me. Nothing escapes my attention. Indeed, I have a very good idea of the contents of your case even before I have ever laid eyes on them. Dear me, we are not well suited to a life of crime, are we? Your careless coup d'etat betrays you. Once again, we need only follow your furtive glance to find the answer. Yes, the reason why you refuse to open your case is written in the books on the shelf. He's completely changed tack with his deduction now. I think Mr. Sholmes is adapting his logic to the changing circumstances, don't you? Maybe, but why has he suddenly brought the bookshelf into all this? It's just a wild guess, surely. Oh, do you think so? Well, it doesn't seem likely that the reason why this young woman didn't want to open her case. But the books are messed up again. So I think there's like an animal that's sort of running around. Would have been written in a book that doesn't even belong to her. Yes, that's true, but still, Miss Pavlova certainly did cast her eyes in that direction. I notice it myself. Has to be another reason why she won't open her case. Must be somewhere in the same area, if that's where her gaze was involuntarily drawn. I agree. That's the only answer. Whatever she has hidden inside that case should be revealed by following her gaze in the direction of the bookcase. Alright. What have we got here? Books on the shelf. Rules of passage. That's what I suspect here. Pets.
Yes!
Yes, the reason why you refuse to open your case is written in the rules of passage. Primbell, thank you very much for following. Welcome to the Fox Shrine. I hope you enjoy your stay. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. Inside that case of yours is something forbidden from carriage on this vessel. That is the real reason why you refuse to open it, thus revealing its contents. As we've seen, the trunk wobbles from time to time, but no weapon or other dangerous item would move of its own accord. Which leaves but one possibility, Miss Pavlova. Inside your traveling case is the last item listed as forbidden in the vessel's rule of passage, a pet. Elementary. My dear Herlock, my dear Sholmes. So clearly, you aren't who you said you were. No, I am not Grimesby Roylott. My real name is Nikolina Pavlova. Everything you said was correct. You absconded during one of your ballet company's performances in order to escape your homeland. Later that same night, you stole aboard this vessel. So I'm thinking that the ballerina is also the princess of Russia, essentially. If she received that tiara as a gift from a Prussian lord of some sort. Possibly. Well, at least connected to the revolutionary stuff, at least. Later that same night, you stole aboard this vessel, which couldn't have been easy. The Buria is a huge steamship with a vast crew. Could she really have snuck on board without being noticed? In order to obscure your true identity, you somewhat recklessly took the guise of an old gentleman. Because remember, they said that the first class cabins are basically reserved for dignitaries and nobility. We were in there because we were stowaways. Our friend was in there because he was a dignitary. So she must be a noble, or a royal in this case. And you intended to sever all links with your past by severing your long hair. And the intention here was by the revolutionary to kill her, I believe. But the snake accidentally, I'm assuming it was a snake anyway, the snake in the vent accidentally went to the wrong room and killed our friend. That's my theory. Yet to a woman, hair is no trifling matter. My personal recommendation is to leave well alone. So, if it was just you about to cut off your own hair... Yeah, Swordbro died. He died. Unknown cause of death, but he's dead. Which I basically called from the start. I knew that something bad was going to happen to him. Who was it that let out the scream that we heard from outside the cabin? Oh, that veritable tinkling of a bell? Why, none other than this young lady, naturally. More like a full set of pipes, if you ask me. I was so scared when I ran away in Shanghai. I was sure that they would come looking for me. International voyage, international waters, no crime committed. I don't think it works that way, Rel. Maritime law is a whole specialty in and of its own. Detective Arrow on the case, indeed. I could be wrong, certainly, but that's my theory. That's why I decided to, how you say, disgust myself, so no one would recognize me. As a result, you transformed yourself into that questionable old man? I see. I put on the fur hat and fake beard. Then just before you came here, I saw in the newspaper, right on the page, there was a picture of me. I was so frightened, I couldn't stop from screaming. I knew that if I didn't change my appearances completely, that they would find me. So I decided to cut all of my hair as fastly as possible. I picked up the scissors in my hand and... At that precise moment, we walked in through the annoyingly unlocked cabin door. He really wanted to kick that door down. Things happen like that sometimes, don't they? It's set early 20th century or late 19th, somewhere around then. But I can guarantee you that just because you kill someone on the sea, like, just because there might not be laws of the sea, like, something's going to happen to you. There's going to be repercussions. They might just throw you overboard. Who knows? I don't know how things work. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not from the time. But just because there's no law doesn't mean there wouldn't be punishment. Things do happen like that from time to time. Are those two even talking about the same thing? There's just one more thing I'd like to know. What exactly do you have inside your traveling case? You were right. It is my dear friend inside. My only friend in the whole world. Please, don't tell anyone. If the captain finds out, if you say anything of the crew. Your secret is safe with us, I assure you. But in return, you must tell us, in as much detail as you can muster, about the events of last night. I think most people would consider it a crime, regardless of whether there's a law or not. Murdering someone results in punishment, but is hardly a crime, is what you're saying there. Yes, all right. I will tell you. Anyway, you linked me some evidence that there is no crime being committed just because you killed someone on a ship, and I'll believe you then. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, wasn't it something Mr. Sholm's great deduction? It was certainly something, yes. I'm just not entirely sure what. But at least Miss Pavlova has agreed to tell us what she knows. That's incredible. Indeed, it is incredible. Ah, and one more thing. Oh, yes? What? Observe your wrists. My... Ah! Your hands are cuffed again. What? But how? True to my word, I have restored your shackles. When? And why? There is still a shadow of guilt cast over you, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm sorry to say, it can't be helped at the moment. Yeah, he's a total rope bunny right there. Can't it? Really? Anyway, let's listen to what Miss Pavlova has to say. I can't go on not knowing. I have to find out what the speckled band that Kazuma-sama wrote about in his diary really was. Okay. Now, let's save the game here. And do we converse with her first? I genuinely would be curious about it. Hopefully it's not anything long. But yeah, I would be curious to know. I am genuinely curious about what they would consider. What would happen to someone if they murdered someone at sea before there were these so-called laws of the sea? Okay, let's examine the room first, shall we? Are we allowed to move around? We are. Hold on. That's why you're joining this first class as well. Are you sure we've asked everything we needed to, Mr. Naruhodo? Clearly not. Okay. Let me see. Don't touch! Huh? Oh, I will tell you what I know about last night, but please, you must not touch my things. How do you say? Forbid it. Oh, sorry. As you well should be, young man. What vulgar manners you have. Like, that would be, I guess, but at least I would have thought that they might sort of consider the ship itself to be property of a certain nation, and therefore judge it by that nation's laws. Poking around in a young lady's private belongings? Neither shall I allow it. Hypocrite. Okay, looks like we're not allowed to examine this. It's how it is with planes, but not ships. Huh. Alright. Fair enough. Okay. What does she say about if we present evidence now? Does she say different things? Can I show you this? I'm actually a university student from the Empire of Japan, you see. That means nothing to me. No? Why would it? Mr. Naruhodo, if you're determined to flaunt your Yume badge, at least choose a Japanese person who might recognize it. Miss Susato, can I show you this? Maybe later. Oh, I could show Inspector Hosonaga too. I already did. I totally already did. Miss Pavlova, would you take a look at this? I don't know. I don't know anything. Mr. Naruhodo, you're threatening the poor girl. Oh, sorry. I wasn't trying to. What about this? You also don't know. Place of birth is at sea. Huh. Miss Pavlova, about this article. Did you know about this merciless revolutionary already? No. But when I saw the picture, I couldn't believe it. He looks just like me in my disguise. Huh? Am I the only one around here with eyes? The other man, the one wearing the brown, he also said so. He said we looked the same. Yes, he says a lot of things. But I have a strong feeling that besides you and the great detective, you won't find another soul on this ocean who thinks there's any similarity there at all. Interesting stuff. Mr. Naruhodo, I won't allow you to speak ill of Mr. Sholmes. No, I wouldn't dream of it. Miss Pavlova, about this article about yourself. It looks so beautiful, like a fairy. I'm scared. If my picture is in the newspapers... you poor girl. She's so young. Just 15 years old. For her to have to run away all by herself. She must have felt very, very alone. This is the diary of my friend who passed away. His diary? Yes, and he wrote in it last night before he died. Something a little unusual. It reads, 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. And then a few minutes later, 1:35 a.m., what looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. A speckled band? I don't understand. It's strange, isn't it? But the ventilator he mentions joins to this cabin, you see? It's up there on the wall. In other words, this cabin and the victim's cabin are connected together. Oh! Miss Pavlova? Has something occurred to you? Does the speckled band the victim mentioned mean something to you? Or the whistling sound, perhaps? No, I don't know anything. Oh. Alright, let's have a talk with her. And probably after we finish talking with her, we'll start wrapping the stream up, I think. Because we're getting close to midnight. What happened last night? Did you know that someone was killed in the cabin next door to this one last night? One of the crewmen told me this morning when I was eating breakfast. The man who died. He was a friend of mine. Oh. That's why we're trying to find out what happened. Did you notice anything unusual last night? Perhaps you heard a strange noise, for example? Perhaps people talking? Perhaps the ship was absorbed in a wild tempest. Perhaps its steam engine exploded. Perhaps everyone on board would have noticed if that had happened. Miss Pavlova? Is there anything you can tell us? I don't know. I'm sorry, but all I could think about last night was what I had done and whether they would find me. I didn't notice anything that was happening around me. Oh, I see. Alright. You've run away from your ballet company, haven't you? The Novovich Ballet? Yes. I am traveling to Great Britain, and from there, I want to go to America. I will never dance again. I want to forget everything about the ballet. I will start a new life. You wish to forget? A challenging proposition when you have that striking tiara as a reminder. But the tiara is mine. I need it to live. I have no money of my own. The Novovich Ballet gives us only a little food and water, and we must dance all over the world. I had to run away. I had no choice. If I stayed, it would have killed me. So you ran away to protect yourself? Yes. And the crew of this ship, they have all been kind to me. They let me come on board and they said I could hide in this cabin. If that is indeed the truth, Miss Pavlova, it creates a most intriguing conundrum. Yes, it does. What do you think about it, Mr. Naruhodo? Me? Oh, well, yes, of course. I think we should hear Miss Pavlova's explanation. To what conundrum, I'm not sure, but... Alright. Miss Pavlova, allow me to pose you a riddle. According to this newspaper, it was only yesterday that you absconded from the ballet. Now, that being the case, it must have been last night that you boarded this vessel. However, the SS Buria stopped by no port last night. Ah, that's it, of course! So, how is it, pray, that you come to be aboard? Yep, alright, cool. I'll have a look at those. As they say, reality is often stranger than fiction. Now that I think about it, the crewman outside the cabin acted very strangely when we mentioned that. It was just after we asked him about when the occupant of this cabin came aboard. Mr. Beef Boy over here kind of looked away. Yes, you're right. He did seem to be hiding something. An angel descended from the heavens, bringing grace and beauty to the stage. Sorry? What was that? It is how the Russian newspapers described one of my performances. And that is how I came here too. I descended from the heavens, because I am an angel. Considering English isn't your mother tongue, your description is very vivid. Mr. Sholmes once said, "I never can resist a touch of dramatic." It seems Miss Pavlova is the same. A genius descended from the heavens, bringing grace and beauty to detection. Words once said about myself. A quote from a wonderfully extravagant advertisement for the adventures of Herlock Sholmes, in fact. Yes, Mr. Showy. Anyway, it doesn't look like Miss Pavlova is going to tell us what really happened. Let's talk about your friend here, shall we? So, the friend you mentioned is inside your traveling case, is that right? I don't think animals are allowed on board, according to the rules of passage. Oh, please, don't tell any of the crew. If they found my precious... Then the burly Russians would bestir themselves in union to throw you and your case overboard, no doubt. Ah! So reassuring, Mr. Sholmes. I mean, they already let her on board, so they must have... I'm sure they'd be lenient with her. But what sort of pet is your friend? A little puppy? It is, isn't it? It's a snake. Maybe an adorable little rabbit? Ha! You credit Russia as a land with small rabbits, do you? Oh, don't they have small rabbits there, then? You may well ask. I have no idea. You two are miserable bunglers when it comes to understanding the nature of young ballerina's friends. Isn't it obvious? It must be a chicken. Really? Consider the benefits. A rousing wake-up call, daily fresh eggs, and when adversity strikes, it could satisfy the needs of sustenance. So you'd eat your friends. I'll remember that one. Well, it would appear this friend's identity is a closely guarded secret not to be revealed. Ah! Ha 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 ha! She obviously doesn't quite trust us yet. Alright. I think with the knocking of this, and progressing to the next phase of the game will be a good stopping point for us. For we have come to that time again, haven't we? So let's switch on back here and start wrapping things up, shall we? Did everyone enjoy that? I hope so. I enjoyed it at least. Alright. So, tomorrow, we're going to be doing some Mass Effect, and on Sunday we'll be doing more Yakuza. I'm still curious to wonder how much left I've got of that, I have to say. We're certainly getting close to the end for it. But it will be interesting to see how things go. Speaking of Yakuza, we'll be raiding Drago Bancho tonight, who is playing Yakuza Kiwami 2. So that should be some fun. Now, Monday and Tuesday, I've got something a little special planned for one of those days, but I'm not quite sure which one yet. Possibly Wednesday, depending. Depending on that, I'll let people know what's going on then. Okay? I just need to sort of get things confirmed because there could be another collaboration going on then. So hopefully you'll be able to check that out when it's on. It'll be quite fun, in my opinion. So, I'll update my schedule. I'll sort of leave those days open a little bit, I guess, until things are updated. And yeah, hope to see you all next week. All right. Thank you very much, and good night. See ya.